Hi friends, welcome back to Calm in the Chaos Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Davine, and this year I am homeschooling 4 kids who are going into 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th grade this school year. Today I'm going to be showing you how I plan out my 9th and 10th graders curriculum for the year, sort of how I organize my thoughts, how I decide how much of something I'm going to do, and just how I lay it all out. So I'm ready to assign it each week to my girls. My 9th grader in particular is very independent at this point. She does most of her work on her own. I'll try to meet with her once a week to go over any corrections and do her writing/literature program with her. And so I'll talk about that a bit more in this video. My 10th grader, she does go to a hybrid school. So 4 out of 6 of her credits are done at the hybrid school. So she has homework from that school, but I also do assign a few supplementary things, as well as 2 of her main credits will be done with me here. So I'm going to show you all of that in this video. Today I'm going to turn you around and show you on my computer how I organize everything for the school year. And then at the very end, I'm going to show you something I'm adding that is new that I felt like I needed last year. And so I'll talk more about that towards the end of this video. So if you're interested in videos like this, do stick around, give me a like if you like videos like this, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. If you're interested in seeing how I homeschool middle schoolers and high schoolers. Let's get started. Just to let you know, today's video is a collaboration hosted by myself and Shauna from Homegrown Homeschool. If you want to see some other videos on how other homeschool moms prepare for the new school year, check out the description box below and click on the playlist when you're done watching this video. Okay, so here is a look at what I use to organize both of my girls' work. I do it differently for my girls than I do for my boys, my 7th and 8th graders. If you haven't seen that video, you can go ahead and take a look at that. They have more of a daily checklist. This is also sort of a daily checklist, but I give it to them each week, and I don't really tell them they have to do everything from day 1 on day 1, day 2, day 3, etc. I just give them the week's worth, and they can decide on how they complete the work. So they kind of manage their schedule a little bit more than my boys. Whereas my boys, I do expect them to finish most of day 1's work on day 1. Sometimes I'll let them leave one for the next day, but we do finish everything by the end of the week. In this case, I am not so much paying attention to all of that, though my 10th grader needs a little extra help with managing that. So I may have to check in with her a little more often as far as making sure she's not getting too far behind on her work. Okay, so let's take a look first at my 9th grader's work. So this is one that I just keep using the same template every year. As you can see, I've done it for 2 years before this. I had 7th and 8th grade, 8th and 9th grade, and now we're working on 9th and 10th grade this year. So I just have the tabs and I can just open them up for the child that I'm looking at and plan on there. So I have this broken up into weeks along the top here. I have it up to 36 weeks or 37 weeks in this case. I have the number of days right here underneath that. I start with our daily devotions. Now this is something I haven't planned out yet, and I don't plan on planning out until much closer to the school year. At this point, my 2 girls just started a job at a blueberry farm. They are packaging blueberries. So they'll be working for the next 3 weeks. And so we have sort of done summer school up until about a week ago. And then we went on family vacation, and I don't plan on doing any school with any of my kids in the next 3 weeks while my girls are working. And then my boys, if they start causing trouble because they're bored, we might start school early, but I don't have any plans on having them do any work in the next 3 weeks. So we'll see how that goes. If they can keep themselves out of trouble, then they can have a longer summer vacation. And we'll probably start around the last week of August. And so I'm going to let this daughter decide on what she wants to start with. I have a shelf with a bunch of options for her, and so she can kind of pick what she wants to do. And once she's picked that, then I will schedule that out for her. So that will be a daily thing that I'll just decide on what a good daily amount is and then just put that in. I do enter all of these in by myself, like manually, but I find it doesn't take too long at the beginning of the year. And then once it's set up, I don't have to do a whole lot other than like add a cell to delay things. I can move things around pretty easily. So this is a system that has worked well for me in the past few years. Okay, so next you see is math. We have Denison Algebra. We have the last 2 units of that left. She didn't finish Algebra 1. I have heard from a friend, from Jenny, from Homeschooling with Teens. She said that Algebra 1 was a lot longer than Geometry and Algebra 2, so that is nice to know. So I had that planned for a lesson a day until she's finished, and so she has a few things here. So week 5, she should be finishing up on Algebra 1. Now, my plan is to have her work on, I picked up a book called 100 Days of Algebra, and my plan was just to have her work on that for a bit. I'm not in a hurry to get started with geometry. So I have her scheduled like 2 pages a day at this point. But I think what I'm going to say to her once we get there is we will do this for a bit, and I'll just say, let me know when you're ready to start geometry and we can get started on geometry. So if she feels like she needs a bit of a break from math and she doesn't want to do a whole lot of math for a little bit, I'm okay with slowing down a little bit. So I have that planned out until lesson 100. We did get some lessons done, so it won't take 50 days exactly, but we will either start geometry when she decides she's ready, or if I get bored of this algebra, then we'll get started, or she'll decide that she wants to get started. So that is just there for now. So I have it planned out, but I can easily change it. And then once I pick up geometry, I can start putting the lessons in here. So that's something to do later. So then we have Window to the World next. So that is what I'm planning out here. I printed off the syllabus for that, and it starts with 5 lessons that is called Teaching the Classics. I'm not sure why I put Teaching the Classics in here. I think I was just going to go over it with her without the actual DVDs and videos. But I was on the computer looking at our local homeschool consignment store, and I found Teaching the Classics at about 1/3 of normal cost. So I'm kind of excited about that. I have the DVDs and I have the book, and I thought I would just have to kind of wing it with what I had, but now I do have it because I wasn't going to spend $150 to pick this up, but this was like $50. So I'm like, okay, I can do that. So I did pick this up. So the first 5 lessons here is Teaching the Classics. So you can see I am doing 1 lesson a week, and then we will start with the lessons in here, Window to the World. So that is in the plans there. Now, what I'm planning on doing here is we don't always do 5-day weeks, but I do think I will be teaching a lesson to her regardless of whether it's a 5-day or a 4-day week. And so I very easily can move cells around like that. So when I am handing this to her, I will be basically copying this like that. And then I will say print. I will do selected cells. And then I can hand this to her. So it'll have the 4 days there, and it will have all the information that she needs on a 2-sided sheet. So that is basically how I give it to her. I can move things around pretty easily on these Google Docs. So that's one of the reasons why I like Google Docs. And then the other thing I do is once I'm done that week, I go ahead and hide the columns so that I am now working with the next week. So that is something that I do a lot with this. So anyways, that's how I assign it to my girls. So I'm going to go ahead and insert a cell. Right now, I'm just setting up how often everything happens. But my first week of school, I'm not going to just go and assign a regular week. I'll decide what we are starting that week and what we're going to start later. I'll move some of these to start on the next week, but it's just easy to do that. As you can see, I just move the cells over. Okay, so next she has, right here, I have, just to remind myself, she will be doing a write-at-home writing course starting September 11th. So we will just pause Window to the World at that point, and it's an 8-week course. and I do plan on reporting to you on how that goes. I have heard about Write at Home for a while now. I think it was Jen from, can't remember the name of her channel, but I will maybe put that below. I believe she used Write at Home with her daughter, and it's sort of been in the back of my mind as a writing program to try out with my daughter. I do want this daughter to get writing critique from another teacher that's not me. She's a very good creative writer, but I don't always know how to give her feedback. So I wanted to have another teacher work with her. And so we're trying this out. If it goes well, I do plan on having her take more courses with Write at Home in her 10th grade year. So this is like a trial period. So she's going to be doing expository writing is the 8-week course. So that is going to start September 11th. I don't know at this point where that is in here. So that is just there to remind me that she will be starting that course and to make sure I leave space for that. So when I am planning out my courses, as you can see for math, I'm just planning it out and I'm not too worried about when it starts and when it finishes. There are other courses that I do want to finish. So like Window to the World, I would like to finish it. And so I can plan it out to do it every week. And I can see how far it goes and see if we will be able to finish it. So here's week 33. And based on past experience, we tend to do other days with other things. Like sometimes we do just group work and not this independent work stuff. So I'm trying to plan for 32 weeks and try to have most of the stuff done by 32 weeks. And if it goes more than that, then that might just be summer school. So adding 8 weeks of writing here means we probably will not finish Window to the World, which is fine. We can continue that in the next year. So that just kind of tells me right now that it's not realistic for me to do that 8-week writing course and finish Window to the World. But we can finish most of it and we can continue in the 10th grade year. That's not a problem. And there are a few extra weeks here. So I guess we'll just see. We'll see how things go. I just plan them out and then we just kind of go with the flow after that. So then I have Wordly Wise. She is working on book 9. She is, as you can see here, starting lesson 7. So she finished the first 6 lessons. And I basically calculated how many were left and decided on how often I wanted to do that. So I have Wordly Wise here, and then I have Fix It Grammar. This is level 4. And what I'm doing here is I'm doing 2 days of Wordly Wise and then 1 day of Fix It Grammar. And I planned those out. So let's see how far we get with that. Now with Wordly Wise, I have added a few lessons because I picked up the Wordly Wise. It's like a teacher book with tests and quizzes. And so she will have lesson part A, B, C, and D. And then she has a review lesson, and then she has a test. So this will help me to have some language arts marks. So when I add those in, it does go a little bit longer. So between the 2 courses, it looks like Wordly Wise would end in week 30. And then if I want to finish Fix It Grammar, she would have to be doing that daily until week 33. So I feel like I would prefer, other than doing that, I would rather we just alternate Fix It and Wordly Wise, ended up with more Wordly Wise at the end, because I don't know, that's just my preference. So after I did this, now I want to switch it up. So what I would do would be I would just go in and start inserting cells, moving this back, deleting cells, and then I want this, delete this cell. Okay, and so inserting cells. So I'm just moving. I would just go through and do this. It would take a little bit of time, but that is something that I'll come back and do. So it'll be every other lesson. And I think I like that a little bit better. And I'll probably end up with more Wordly Wise at the end, but I'd rather end the year with more Wordly Wise, and I'd rather be done the Fix It Grammar. So I think I'm going to do that. I might have had that at first, and then I switched it around, and now I'm deciding I don't like that. So I would just go through and do that. I'm going to put this in green, just so I know that there's something I want to fix here after this video. Okay, and then we have poetry memorization. I picked up IEW's poetry memorization. I will be doing that with my other 3 kids, mostly in the car on the way to my 10th grader school. So we will have time to be practicing that daily. She is going to have to do this on her own. So I'm actually going to go get a sticky note so that I can write down things I need to do as I'm remembering them. So I need to make sure that I share the Google Drive. I uploaded all the files of the poetry memorization. I photocopied all of the copies for each of my kids, and now I need to share that drive with her so that she has it available. So let me go grab a piece of paper so I can write that down. So I got my favorite type of sticky notes. I actually prefer the bigger ones, but I don't have any right now. So I'm going to put that on to do. All right, so I have share poetry memory drive with Annika. So I have that listed as daily so she remembers to do it. Next, reading is something that I plan as we go, and often I will give her some choices on which book she wants to read. We are doing a mix of Book Shark level H, so that's World History Part 2, so early and early modern, and Guest Hollow's Whirlwind World History. And so most of her reading selections are from Book Shark. I do occasionally grab one of the Guest Hollow selections. And then most of her core work for history is from Guest Hollow's online textbook and workbook. So for reading, maybe I'm going to put my note here on which 2 books I'm going to let her choose from to start the year. So if you saw my curriculum picks video, you've seen the print-offs of this. But basically, I have the books that I have available for my kids to pick to read this year. Now, The Horse and His Boy by C.S. Lewis is the next book I want her to read, but we are going to be listening to that in the car when I take them to work or when I'm picking them up from work. So we're going to finish that this summer, and I'm currently doing it with my boys whenever I have my boys in the car. So that is something that we're going to do that way. So it's become a read aloud instead of a reader. And so the next 2 ones she has here to pick from, I don't think I'm going to make her read both of them. She can pick either the second Mrs. Gyakonda or the Shakespeare Stealer. So I think I'm going to go ahead and type that in here so I know that I'm asking her at the beginning of the school year. Okay, so I have that in there so I can ask her at the beginning of the school year which one she wants. Then I have her doing a written narration every other day, so I have that scheduled out here. Okay, now we're at science, which is chemistry with the lab, as well as I'm going to call it culinary science as well. So she'll be getting 2 credits at the end of the school year. And I have it scheduled out this way. So one of her curriculums is this. This is new to her. This is Chemistry 101. I am doing some of this curriculum with her. This is the syllabus, and here's sort of an example of what they have set up. I think they have about 150 hours scheduled, and I'm going to have her watch the DVD. I'm going to have her answer some discussion questions. So she's going to open up a Google Doc, and she's going to share the link with me. I'm going to have her type the question and the answers from that. She's going to pick one of the lab reports. There's usually 2. She'll pick one and she'll do a lab report on that. And then she will be taking the quiz at the end of the segment. So I'm skipping her reading and research. I'm skipping field trips, and I'm not making her rewatch the DVD. So this says 8 hours. She's probably doing about 4 hours of this instead of the 8 hours, or maybe 3 hours of that. So that is what I have scheduled these first 4 days. She is starting with Chemistry 101. So I tried to type out sort of what she needs to do so that it's clear. I say, watch DVD segment 1, The Last Alchemist, start a Google Doc titled Chemistry 101, and share with mom. Type out answers to the discussion questions. And I'm going to have her change that to Chemistry 101 discussion questions. So that is going to be an ongoing document that she will just add to. The next day I have her, I said, read how to write a lab report and how to keep a lab notebook. So I just found some information and I put it in here. I just printed this off the internet. So I found an article, how to read a lab report. I printed it up and put it in here. So that's a 3-page document. And then how to keep a lab notebook, same thing. I printed up the article and put it in here. And then I have a link that she can also go look at. So that is day 2. I wanted her to do that. And then on day 3, I have her pick one of the 2 mini labs. So I showed you they had 2 mini labs. Pick one, start your lab notebook and go through the process of doing a lab and writing up a lab report. Day 4, go over the notes of the guidebook, segment 1, and take quiz 1. So there is notes for each of the segments. So I'm telling her to study and then let me know when she is taking the quiz. It's like a 10-question multiple choice quiz. So that is sort of what she's doing when she does chemistry. I have it 3 days because it doesn't have the read about the lab report things. Basically, watch the DVD, answer the questions, choose one of the labs, write up a lab report, and then review the segment and take the quiz. And so I'm doing one chapter of Chemistry 101, and I'm alternating with 1 week of Guest Hollow. So here you can see she is on week 14. So we have finished up to week 13. We didn't quite make it halfway through the course. I'm starting on week 14, and I added in an activity day as well. And so I will show you what I do to assign her when I'm assigning her Guest Hollow curriculum. This is an example from history. I'm just going to go ahead and open up the history link. This is something that I do a little bit at a time. So Guest Hollow is an online or PDF download curriculum, and I will open it up on my computer. I will copy and paste the whole week, and then I will go through and edit it. I will take out the pieces that I don't want her to do, and so she will just see the parts I want her to do. I will link a video below showing that process a bit more. I did make one video. I will find that one and I will link it below if you want to see how I assign my Guest Hollow curriculum. But basically, I will do this a few weeks at a time. And then whenever it is the beginning of the week, so whenever it shows up, week 14, day 1, see email, I will email her a link to what I expect her to do that week. So she would have this, and it would be chemistry. And so she would see day 1, read this, do this, watch this. And then we also have activities here. And she generally knows that I will just have her do 1 activity a week. I've scheduled that in this time. I have left a day for her activity day, just to make sure she's not doing chemistry every single day, to be able to catch up on things. Sometimes she needs to get some ingredients, stuff like that. So I just wanted to add in another day so she's not behind on the activities. So she will do day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and then she will have the activity day where she's expected to do whichever activity that she's picking from Guest Hollow. So in planning it out like that, I went through, and you can see here, looks like 17, oh no. Looks like I have 17, and then I skipped to 19. So that is a mistake. I don't think that is correct. Looks like I'm skipping some things here. Oh my goodness. Okay. So it looks like I didn't do a very good job of this. So this is lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I have 2 7s. And it looks like sometimes it's only taking 2 days. Oh, sometimes they don't have labs. All right, so this is 8. Okay, so I just went through and updated that. Sometimes I do have mistakes in there, but I do usually catch some like this before the beginning of the year. So it looks like we'll finish Chemistry 101 around week 32, which is realistic in sort of when we'll probably be ending our school year. So we won't probably finish Guest Hollow's Chemistry in the Kitchen, but I will continue on until we get to a pretty good point. I could take out these activity days, but I do feel like she's going to have a lot of chemistry if I don't add in those activity days. So I'm going to keep those in, and we'll just finish off when we get to the end of the school year. We'll just find a good stopping place. So I might not necessarily need the very last books of Chemistry in the Kitchen. We'll see how that goes. So that is our chemistry. And then she's doing, like I said, early modern and modern world history. I counted out how many lessons there were. So there's 109 lessons left. I'm planning on 160 days school. And when I say 160 days, we are really doing more than 180 days. I'm just trying to be conservative and planning it within those days. We often do summer school. We often go later. We do plenty of days of school. So I'm just using this as a way to sort of front load the curriculum. And so what I decided was we would do 3 lessons on and then 1 break day. So that's how I decided to lay this out. So I have the week here. And then I have maps and activities planned here as well, because if I don't write that, she doesn't do it. I'm adding a day where she's doing her book of centuries. If you've seen any of my update videos, you'll know about that. And I'm also telling her to pick an activity during that day. So that's when she should be working on her activity. I didn't write that in this year and we got pretty behind on our activities. So I'm hoping that adding it here will make it get done a little better. And so basically I just went through and I typed up all the lessons that are left and I just planned it 3 days on, 1 day off. So as you can see, it's all 3 days on, 1 day off. And so we can go to the end and see how far that gets us. So this one, we are starting halfway through the curriculum because I plan on doing it for 2 years. That's why I can take a day off every 3 days. Like I said, she's also reading Book Shark literature as well that goes along with history. And so she's doing plenty of history. So it looks like it ends here. So that is week 30. If she ends history early, that's totally fine. Maybe we can do a little more science at the end of the year if we do end up finishing up history early, or do more of the books that we're reading. So that is good. I like that buffer ending in week 30. That gives us plenty of time. If we have to delay things, we're okay. Okay, and then we also have geography. So that is also something we're doing. Another reason why I'm not making her do history every day in Guest Hollow. This is our 4th year working on Guest Hollow's World Geography, and we're going to finish it up this year. So we have 55 lessons left to do in 130 days. So I decided that we're going to do 2 lessons a week. So whatever we're doing, if we're doing a 3-day week, I might have her do 1 lesson, but if it's 4 days or 5-day weeks, we will do 2 lessons a week. So I have that planned out here so they know what to do. I will be emailing them that sheet so that they can click on the links to read the textbook and do the workbook. I'm having them do the Cetera quizzes, so they'll be working on Central America quizzes at the beginning. And I just have that every other day right now, but like the note said, 2 times a week, so I can adjust this as needed. I have spaces for additional books here. They'll be reading In the Land of the Jaguar here. And then later on, let's see, when they get to France, they'll be doing the Bonjour effect. And then we also had another book, Let's Eat France. So I'm just have spaces for that. We have North, How to Live Scandinavian. And so they're reading that at some point. So I just have extra lines here so that I can add in whatever I need to add. And based on that planning, we should be done around, looks like week 22. So if we need to do a little less geography, like if it's a busy week, we can push that one back quite a bit. So that will just be something I keep in mind. If we finish geography early, that's great. It will give us time to do other things. So that is how that's planned out right now. Okay, then we have art. This is not official. She's not really doing this for a credit this year so far. She has a watercolor with me book. I'm just scheduling it. I think I'll schedule it every 3 days. Right now I have it every 1 day, but I think I'm going to change that just so it pops up every so often. So I'm going to put a green thing there so I can adjust that. She doesn't need to be doing that every other day. Just something fun to do. Okay, health currently is empty, but I have a few books here that I want to, well, some I want to pre-read and I want to schedule out. So I picked up recently this series. So this is the God's Design for Sex series. First 2 books are very small little books for ages 3 to 5, ages 5 to 8. I'll probably have my girls just go ahead and read those like one each day. And then these books are a little bit thicker. So these are the ones I really want them to get into. We have What's the Big Deal for ages 8 to 12 and Facing the Facts for 12 to 16. So those are probably going to be first in the beginning of the school year. And so what I'll do is I'll just take a look and I'll see how much of this I want them reading. I'm guessing I'll assign this like every other day or twice a week. This is not currently for a credit. I just figure over time they'll get a credit. So it's just kind of like something we're working on, and I'll just keep track of what we do, keep track of roughly the number of hours, and then eventually they'll get a health credit. This one, Dating with Integrity, is one I plan on assigning after we finish those books. So there's that. This one I remember reading and I did like, and then this next one I haven't read, and I'm definitely not recommending it until you read it yourself. I'm going to be reading it myself. I'm not sure if I'm going to like what's in this one. So this is Before You Meet Prince Charming. I'm already getting a little bit of, I'm not sure. I'm not sure on this one. I'll have to reread both of these. I have to read them all actually before I assign them. So maybe that's my homework for the next 3 weeks, to start reading these. But if I assign these, it'll probably be, like I said, maybe a chapter every other day. And then I think one of you asked me if it's okay to go ahead and get this book before you've read this book or the other books. I don't know the answer to that question because I haven't read them yet. My guess is that it would be fine to just jump to this book. I'm just like having to read them since I have them, but I'm not sure because I haven't read them yet. So I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question. I was like going to look at the books and see, and I didn't know how to answer the question, so I've been putting it off. But if you're watching this, that's why it took me so long to get back to you. I'll try to get back to you in the comments, but yeah, so that is that. So I would just go ahead, I would type up whatever book I want them to do first, type it in there and write the chapter and just schedule that out. And it would just take as long as it takes. And if we finish, then we finish. Okay, I'm seeing that I have some old Chinese stuff here from when I copied and pasted. So I'm going to take that out so it's not there. So you can see here at the bottom of the page, we have Mandarin, and I am debating on that. I feel like she has a lot of things going on this year. She did finish her Mandarin 1, so I do want her to do Mandarin 2 at some point. But I'm not sure if we'll begin it at the beginning of the year or if maybe we'll finish our health first and then move into Mandarin. So it's just something I'm still debating. I'm not in a rush to start, and I'm just thinking of my option. I just have that there to remind me that that's something I'm thinking about, but I haven't decided. So that is my 9th graders' work. Now, this summer, as I was going through and marking some of her work, I got a bit behind. There were some things that I realized we struggled with a bit this year, and I was trying to find a way to fix that. You know, if you don't check the work, they will start not doing it. So I need something to keep her accountable and me accountable, and hopefully I'll check in with her work more often. So this is something I created to help us keep on track. This is her weekly turn-in checklist. So this is a checklist that I would like her to give me a pile of her work with this on top, with the stuff checked off or written out, whatever she needs. So I'm just going to go through and show you what I put on here. I basically walked through this chart here and I thought about, what do I need her to turn in? Daily devotions is kind of more of a personal thing. I'm not necessarily checking that. I think she's doing it. I want her to do it, but it's not something that she's doing for grades or marks or anything. So I didn't put it on there, but if I needed to, I could. So the next thing on there was Window to the World. So Window to the World assignment, she will have an assignment every week. So I would like her to have that done by the end of the week. That could be like Saturday night, that's fine with me, or Thursday night. Sometimes she finishes her work Thursday, so whenever she's done, to turn that in. So check that off. Whatever she has assigned in Wordly Wise, whatever she has assigned in Fix It Grammar. Does she have a poem to recite to me? So like I said, she will be doing IEW's poetry memorization on her own. I think she can do a poem at least a week, maybe 2 at the very beginning. So I'll be encouraging her to do that. So that's when she can recite it to me when she's turning this in. What her current poem is. So I want her to be going through the poems so she can write down whatever she's working on now. Completed books. So that's for the written narration. What I want her to do is every time she starts a new book, I want her to start a new Google document. She types out her written narration. So I want her to have the date and the title of the book and type out her narration. And when she's done the book, then she emails it to me. So I don't need this every week. I just want it when she's done a book, I want to see her narrations from that book. And I want a new email. I don't want to have to look a million emails below to find the link. So completed book narration. Chemistry 101 questions up to date. So if she's doing Chemistry 101 that week, has she completed her discussion questions? I want her to check on that. I want to check on that. chemistry activity from last week completed. So the reason why I'm saying from last week is I don't know what activity she's picking. So there might be a shopping list. There might be groceries I need to buy for her. So did she finish last week's assignment after I gave her what she needed? Same thing for history, same thing for geography. Sometimes it's a print off, and so she can just email me, can you print this off? And I give it to her, and she can have that done. But did she finish last week's assignment is what I'm asking. So she also has work to do in her chemistry notebook, her history notebook, and her geography notebook. So she can hand all of those in. And the Cetera quizzes, I have them practice about 5 days. They practice, and then on the 6th day, I want them to do the quiz in front of me, and they get 3 tries. The best score counts towards their grade. So up to 3 tries. Obviously, if they get 100% the first time, then we just take that. So that is just to remind me to do that with her. She was not good at doing that. And then I have just 3 blanks here in case I need to add my own, in case I'm going to type in my own. This will probably change throughout the year, probably very early in the year, I might be adding or updating. And then I have a shopping list here. So chemistry, history, or geography activity shopping list. So if she needs anything from that week for the assignment, she can put it here and then I can know what she needs when I go shopping. So that is something that I thought of that might help us stay on track as far as me checking in with her and she knowing that I'm going to be checking her work and just keeping on top of some of those things like activities or like poetry memorization. I can see that falling by the wayside if I'm not checking in on her. So there's that. Okay, so then my 10th grader has a little bit less because, like I said, she's mostly at a school, but I do have some supplemental things for her. She is doing devotions at home, so she's finishing up something called Beautiful and Courageous. It's just a daily 2-page spread that just has a bit of scripture and inspiration and then a little question for her to answer. So I have that scheduled out to the end. That will be a daily thing. So that I will keep as daily. Some of these things are not going to be daily. Okay, pet store math. I've shown that in past videos. I'm having her do about 3 assignments, and this will be a week. So I will push these off, and we will do these once a week when she's doing full-on school. She has math at the school. This is supplementary. If we start school before she starts going to school, we can do this daily for a while. So that's why I have it daily, but towards the end, I'll be pushing that off. Like she'll do 1 a week. Poetry memorization is daily. I want her to be practicing on her own as well. So she can practice with us in the car on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but Tuesday, Thursday, I do want her to be practicing her poetry daily. We have Beowulf grammar. I have that planned out. Looks like 3 days on, 1 day off. Okay, so for some reason I decided 3 days on, 1 day off. I am not sure why I chose that. So I think what I did was every week she will be doing some language arts and math, and I didn't want her to have to do 4 things of language arts, just 3. So I think I'm doing a rotation here. So we have spelling here. So she is starting spelling UC level F. And so she's starting that 1A, and this is probably going to be once a week most of the time. And I'm actually considering skipping a few lessons. She's been doing very well with the spelling UC, and we will only be doing it like once a week. So that will take a very long time to get through any level. So I'm thinking of maybe cutting out like the D. That's usually the day that people cut out. So I might cut out the D days. And I don't know. So I'll take a look at the book and decide if I want to cut out 1 day or 2 days and just have her practice a few times and see if she can still spell all the things correctly if we do less practice. She might be ready for less practice. So we'll see. At least I'll be cutting out 1 day, maybe 2. Okay, and then we have handwriting. So she's in the middle of, I think it's level 5, maybe 6. Level 5 or 6. I can't remember what level she's on for the good and the beautiful handwriting. So she'll just do that every so often. And then we have typing. And so if you can see here, I have 3 what I would consider language arts things in a day, 3, 3, 3. So I'm doing a rotation here. That's why I did 3 days on, 1 day off. And like I said, if she's in school full time, she will only have this maybe 1 day a week, like on Friday, because she's doing schoolwork and she's doing homework for her school. So those are not things that she's doing officially with me at home. History she is doing officially with me at home. And so I'm having her do the same schedule as my 9th grader. She's doing early modern and modern history. So she will be doing 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off. After the 5th day, I'm giving her a day to pick the activity and do the activity. So that's a pretty light day in general, unless she's baking something. But that's how I have that set up. So that will end probably pretty early, but she is also doing geography. And like I said, she's been doing geography this is 4 years now. We've been working on this high school geography. So we don't have to do it full on for her to get her credit. So we are doing 2 lessons a week, just like her sister. So I had that set up the same exact way. And then health, the same thing. It's not official at all, but I do want her to be reading most of these books. Like I said, still checking on one of those books, but she'll be doing that probably every other day. And I might stagger when they start. So one daughter will start and then the other daughter, so that they're not reading the same book at the same time. So yeah, so I don't know. I'll have maybe her start first so she can finish up the books and then move them on to my 9th grader. I think that's probably what we'll do. So the same thing with her. I made a weekly turn-in chart for her. It's a little bit different because I don't need to see everything every week. So I have poem to recite. If she has a poem that she knows, I want her to recite it. Write her current poem that she's memorizing. Her history activity from last week should be complete. Her geography activity from last week should be complete. History workbook, geography workbook, Sierra quiz completed with mom, and a shopping list. And then every month, this is when I want to check these things. So devotions, I did add that for her. So I might add that with my 9th grader. We'll see. I just didn't need to see that every week, but devotions once a month. So maybe at the end of every month, I want her to do this as well. So devotions, pet store, math, workbook, Beowulf grammar, spelling, handwriting, and written narrations. I want to see all of those. She still writes in a notebook, so I want to see that. And then maybe once a month we can get together and go over that along with her weekly things. Do I have her reading? I didn't put her reading and narration here, so I do need to do that. Let me add a line down here. And I basically want her narration to be, we can do the same thing as this daughter here. So that's already set up. That there. And then reading, she's going to start. She is actually already read Catherine Cold Birdie this year. I think I might have her start with Samurai Rising because she wasn't with us last year, and I feel like these are more books from last year. So I'm just going to have her start with that one. I don't have that right now. It's at the library, but I would just go through and decide on what she should be reading. And that would be something that I would expect her to do daily. So 20 minutes of reading each day, or at this point, I think I'll assign her certain chapters. So that is a look at my girls' weekly work charts. And that's sort of how I plan at the beginning of the school year. I get as much planning as I can done. Some of the things like the book, I just sort of add as we go along. It's easy to push cells here or there, to add lines, to add stuff, to take away stuff, and then hide what we've done. So this has worked really well for me. I've not actually heard of anyone else who organizes their homeschool on Google Sheets. I would love to hear if you do. And if you started doing this at some point and you like doing it, I would love to hear about it. Of course, I will still be doing more planning and setting up for the school year, so do stick around for any videos that I make about that. Don't forget to check out the playlist in the description box below to see how all the other homeschool moms are planning out their school year. So, thanks so much for coming today, and don't forget to give me a like if you like this video, and I hope to see you all in a future video. Bye, everyone.